Namaste. Welcome to yet another Accomplished Women series episode of Thought Habitat Speaks. So far, we've covered women entrepreneurs from the footwear industry, a senior publicist, and there are more interesting people coming up. And our guest today is someone who is more than interesting. You all would be surprised if I say she's someone who has handled transactions worth $1 billion. And she co founded StashFin. And StashFin is today one of the leading fintech applications in India. Without much ado, let us welcome Shruti Aggarwal, co founder of StashFin. Shruti, it's really a great privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here and participating in a week of women, just not a day, but Women's Week.
So, Shruti, without a delay, I'm jumping on to my questions. Yeah. Uh, would you like to describe one incident that triggered or that something that directed you towards the world of finance in your entire career?
It's a funny story. Always been interested in finance, numbers, coming from a typical business family where my father started working at the age of 16. uh, had interest in numbers from the beginning. I went to an all girls school, and then I wanted to go to a co-ed college. I got through SRCC as well as LSR, and the condition my father put that the only way you can go to SRCC is if you do your chartered accountancy. Little did he know that I will do my chartered accountancy and I'll still find my husband in college, even though I had been quite focused. So that's how I it's my father who drove me towards chartered accountancy to keep me less distracted, and that interest kept building. I worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I went to study at Columbia University, thinking that I have a passion for nonprofit, and got into not-for-profit, merged that interest with finance through my experience with Merrill Lynch Bank of America, where I spent doing a $1 billion deal, which you're talking about, for Michigan, for state of Massachusetts. And little did I realize that I did like retail as well. Went into my next startup doing retail for swimwear, but I missed finance. And then when I moved back to India and Tushar Agarwal was starting StashFin, my two passion, for retail and finance came together with StashFin.
That's really great. And that's quite an interesting journey to say, in fact. You
Absolutely.
inherited finance and yet you created a niche for yourself in that. And we can see that moldness in Stashpin very well. So my next question is, you know, there are a lot of fintech apps in India today. So we find something called as Money Tap and a lot more to mention. In this situation, how did you manage to position Stashfin as a competitive force in the market?
So India is a pretty credit staffed country. I worked lived in the US for 13 years, and getting access to a credit card or a home loan or even a phone required credit imprint. When I moved back to India, I got rejected by American Express twice, and I was surprised. And I wondered, people with my pedigree and my experience and my professional degree, chartered accountants shouldn't be so hard. It shouldn't be so hard for chartered accountants to get access to a credit card. But I realized that that was not the case, and I wondered what happened to folks who are living in the fringe of the society. How do they manage? How can they be aspirational? And that's how we've been able to position Stashfin. We are all about financial inclusion. We are not looking to we want to be responsible lenders. So when we talk about being responsible lenders, there are a couple of things we look at. we start giving out small ticket size loans to people and rotate them and make them do voluntary payments. That way, we make them responsible for managing their own finances, that they are aware that when they are supposed to be paying. Second thing, what we do, we give them flexibility. Today, if you are eligible to get a personal loan for 1 lakh rupees, but you may not require the entire 1 lakh rupees today, you probably just require 20,000 rupees to go put a down payment for a bike you're looking to buy or a car you're looking to buy, which may be second hand. You can't go to a bank to take a 20,000 rupee loan. The credit cards are expensive to take cash on. Or the third option is go to a unorganized money lender. So we provided that flexibility to the customers that they should take control of their own destiny and spend as what their means should be. If today you require 20,000, just take 20,000. Put the other 80,000 for rainy day and use it as and when you need it. And as you pay your 20,000 on time, or your EMIs on time, the 20,000 also becomes eligible for you to use again. So that's how we've created a niche in the market, because we've been able to do financial inclusion and responsible lending and educating customers a lot about it.
Really quite interesting. Uh, and recently we saw a major scam involving fintech apps in India, right? By any chance, did that affect the presence of StashFin in the market?
I think what RBI is doing is phenomenal. Unregulated entities giving out money at very high interest rates, not educate, doing what kind of practices, malpractices, and taking high interest rates. I'm so glad RBI is coming down on folks like that. Google also delisted, I think, 500 Chinese apps recently. And Stashfin has had no impact on it in regulatory form. We are doing well. We do see a lot of impact on consumers where their bureau has been spoiled by a lot of unorganized lenders, or formats which we were not even aware of existed. But as a company, we are good, and just we wish to fix these consumer issues going forward, so that people have trust in the NBFCs and the fintechs again.
Great, that's pretty interesting. And Shruti, would you like to define what sort of audience prefers StashFin more? Is it the first time employees, or is it someone in the middle aged, or what would be the persona of a typical StashFin client?
Absolutely. So a typical Stashfin customer would be someone who's worked 2 to 3 years, has enough income, but is underbanked. That means today, if he goes, we know SBI is the largest card provider, then it's HDFC, RBL, Citi. But all these large banks require you to have substantial income to be able to be having access to their credit cards. What we do, we focus on this customer section which has the income, which has worked and knows how to manage their finances, and giving them the flexibility again to be able to take a larger, just not 1x your salary as a uh, credit card eligibility, but taking a larger amount and able to use it and manage their finances as and when they need it. So that's typically our customer base. Average age 26, worked for 2 or 3 years. May or may not have credit imprint, but is aspirational to build that.
That's really Uh, so, Shruti, what would be the roadmap for fintech startups in India in the near future, and what would be the role of women in this space, in your opinion?
Sure. Fintechs, India is one of the leaders in fintech space. When you talk about UPI, India's a leader, Aadhaar linked KYC, everything happening digitally. I think the government's done phenomenally well, especially Modi government has done a great job putting India in the forefront for fintech. And with the COVID, everyone's learned that digital, whatever your strategy might be, digital has to play a big role, and fintechs will play a big role. Again, we are a credit staffed economy. There's enough growth for different players to be there, whether you're a bank, NBFC, or just a fintech player without being regulated. There's enough space, and we see the growth going to be there. Phenomenal growth going to be there. To answer your second question, um, we've seen under penetration in the STEM, in the STEM, it's the sciences, technology. Uh, we wish to see a lot more women at in our organization. We are moving towards doing 50-50. We are already at 40% women. We want to get that as at equal footing, and I hope to see a lot more other fintechs to be able to do that as well.
That's really interesting. And one last question, Shruti. So you said your the I mean you said currently 40% is the ratio of women in this fintech space, and you said your people wanted to become 50-50, women and
I
men.
was talking about Stashfin. Stashfin has 40% women, and we
Okay,
would, as a company, like to move it to 50-50.
okay, okay. That's great. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So again, there are many other women entrepreneurs who are actually attempting to become a successful entrepreneur, but somewhere or the other, there's been some lack of motivations or lack of support from their family or the society or anyone possible. So, what is that one advice that you would like to give them to move ahead in their career?
So, you know, entrepreneurship is a very hard journey, and failing and then standing up is very, very important. Ups and downs happen in life. Just make sure that you learn from your downs and are ready to stand up again. There's always background noise. Keep it there. That's the motivation for you.
That's really interesting. It was a great conversation with you, Shruti. So, understanding how you started and how you built Stashpin from the scratches, and then you've really been an inspiration for many people in your company and in the entire fintech industry in India and abroad, I must say. And I really wish Stashvin could grow more and more beyond limits, and more women entrepreneurs like you must come forward and achieve it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my thought at Thought Habitat.
Thank you so much, Shruti. It was
Thank
great
you.
talking.